During battles involving the Roman army, it was common for Roman soldiers to be captured. What happened to them afterward depended on how the battle unfolded and on the customs of the people who took them prisoner. Selling prisoners as slaves was one of the most common outcomes for captured Roman soldiers. These prisoners were taken to slave markets, where they were sold to whoever was willing to pay. Many of the captured prisoners were sold to work the land of the victors, or to serve in their homes as domestic slaves. Market prices for prisoners varied depending on their social status, skills, and even the region where they were captured. But the simple fact of being a Roman soldier with military training and physical strength gave these prisoners considerable value. A clear example of how prisoners were cruelly treated is the humiliation of Roman captives after the Battle of Carrhae in 53 BC, when the Parthians defeated the Romans. Plutarch recounts a humiliating incident in which a Roman prisoner of war, who physically resembled Crassus, was forced by the Parthians to wear women's clothing and parade through Parthia in a degrading public spectacle. During this parade, the other Roman prisoners were forced to watch the scene and salute the prisoner as if he were Crassus. In some cases, there was the possibility of prisoners being ransomed. This happened when the families or comrades of the captured soldiers were able to gather the money needed to pay for their release. This type of transaction, known as a prisoner ransom, was a common practice, especially for high-ranking soldiers or military leaders who held strategic or symbolic value. In other cases, the Roman Empire itself might intervene and negotiate the ransom of important prisoners to preserve army morale and avoid public humiliation. These ransoms were carefully negotiated, with the Romans using their own diplomatic tactics to ensure the release of prisoners. During the Roman conflict with Hannibal, which took place between 218 and 201 BC, one of the most striking aspects was how Rome dealt with prisoners of war. After the major defeats suffered by the Romans, such as the Battle of Carrhae in 216 BC, prisoner exchanges became a way to try to balance the losses suffered at the hands of the Carthaginians. Many Roman prisoners captured during battles were used as bargaining chips to secure the release of Romans held by the Carthaginians or of other prisoners who could be strategically valuable to the Roman army. Another example of this occurred 40 years after the defeat of Varus in the Teutoburg forest, when some Roman prisoners, who had been enslaved by the Germanic tribes, finally had the chance to be rescued during an invasion led by General Pomponius Secundus. These surviving prisoners were found and freed. However, not all Roman prisoners were lucky enough to be rescued. Many were sold with no hope of return, especially those captured along the Roman Empire's borders, where territorial control and political oversight from Rome were more distant. Some of the more humble prisoners, without the influence or resources needed for a ransom, were simply left at the mercy of the victors and had to endure the harsh reality of slavery. Although it wasn't a common practice, there were occasions when prisoners of war were released freely, without ransom or exchange. This could happen for several reasons, but one of the most common was the victor's desire to gain Rome's favor. In some cases, prisoners were released after promising to become allies of the victor. It was common for prisoners of war to be offered freedom on the condition that once released, they would agree to serve under the command of the victor or provide resources and valuable information about their own people. This type of alliance could benefit both sides, as the freed prisoners, now allies, could help the victor maintain control over a strategic area or even sabotage the Romans. And of course, the fate of many captured Roman soldiers was also death, often a cruel one. Tacitus, the Roman historian, recounts that after the Roman defeat in Teutoburg, many of the captured Roman officers were brutally executed and offered as sacrifices in the religious ceremonies of the Germanic tribes. Some of these prisoners were, in certain cases, boiled in cauldrons and their bones were used in religious rituals, a common practice among the Germanic peoples of that time. In summary, when Roman soldiers were captured during battle, they often faced a cruel and merciless fate. So, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to our channel. See you in the next video.